I came over for years and for 2 years there, and she'd always be like, she's like Backstreet Boys, all right, every time. That's funny. That's very fitting for yeah.
All right, so I sent that text last night, so I'll tie it into what we're going to go into here. And Hebrews 3:14, we're partakers that, and I was doing a deep dive with the Greek, the metioki companions in his life, and hypostasis, the foundation our soul stands on, not our performance. And it's not what we built, it's who he says we are. And one of the things, as I'm also been working on the book, his creation code for success, and it really ties into all these different Bible studies I've done over the years and deep dives. What I realized the first time God ever gave man something to do, he started with his identity. Day 6 here of creation, identity comes before the assignment. And so it's pretty powerful how in all things that we do, we're like refining the identity before we actually do the thing. If we are willing to refine our identity every time then we'll level up more. I don't know if that makes sense.
Say that part again.
Well, if we'll refine our identity constantly, then we'll level up more. Like let's say we're going to start a new project or a new season of life. Like I'm about to be a grandpa, any day now. Like this week, next week. Hazel's very prophetic, and she says, "Hey, I believe baby's going to come this next weekend." At least that's what she wants. So, and everything's good. Green lights, baby's in position, like really low, all that good stuff. They did the ultrasound. And yeah, and even facing the right way, it's just like, okay, come on, ready to go, dive out of there. So, anyways, the point being, though, it's like that's a new season, a new chapter in life to become a grandpa. So it's like, do I refine who I am in that process? Because I think a lot of times when people cycle back through things and think, okay, how can I level up? How can I refine who I am? They feel like they're digressing, but really it is refinement. That's what's really important to say, instead of, oh, I'm finally coming into who I am, right? I'm identifying my identity is finally. No, you're just refining it constantly.
It's sort of like in any CrossFit program, like someone who does it seriously, like
Yep.
they're like, I'm doing my third, fourth step.
Yeah.
And they've been sober for 9 years. But each time they'll tell you there's stuff that I didn't unpack on the first time.
Yeah, for sure.
And like I could see the cycle like being a different thing.
Yep. And life is about cycles. When you truly embrace that and know that, I mean, seasons, cycles, it's all there. We all have them. And when you can own that, you'll really do better. I've seen that in my own life. Like, okay, this is just another cycle. And I find it very, very fascinating. The 90-day thing is really crazy. Like people can be fake for 90 days, but towards the end of it, you just start to see the real person come out. They're just like, they relax, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, maybe I shouldn't have you work for us. Because we did. We had a lot of after the 90 days, first 90 days of Nesbitt repair, then all of a sudden we cleaned house. We're like, let's start fresh. This didn't work out too well. So yeah, it is an interesting process. Yeah. Yeah. So Genesis 1:26, identity before assignment always. Let us make mankind in our image and our likeness, so that they may rule. And so we're just going to read through it real quick, like we always do. Anybody else got it? Probably not. It's okay. Since we're behind, I'll just read it. This is the good old King James Version. Day 6, and God said, let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping thing, and the beasts of the earth after his kind, and it was so. Last week we talked about swarm. Day 5 is about swarm. So it is interesting how animals were created before man. I always say God, saved the best for last. And literally on Friday, which would be tomorrow, we always say, oh, then finish strong every Friday. That's a principle. Finish strong, finish strong. A lot of people are looking to take off on Friday and quit at noon. And, and that's when God created man. So he finished strong. He saved the best for last. And And then, so yeah, it's little fun facts for then how do you practically apply it every week. And God made the beasts of the earth after his kind, and the cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And God said, verse 26, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish, over the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. Do you have it?
Mhm.
Go ahead, I'll let you finish it.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, 27.
Yeah.
So God created man in his own image. In the image and likeness of God, he created him, male and female, he created them. And God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful, multiply, and fill the earth, and subjugate it, and rule over the fish of the sea, the birds of the air, and every living thing that moves on the earth. So God said, behold, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is on the surface of the entire earth, and every tree which is fruit yielding seed. It shall be food for you. And to all the animals on the earth, and to every bird of the air, and to everything that moves on the ground, to everything in which there is breath of life, I have given every green plant for food. And it was so. God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And he validated it completely. And there was evening, and there was morning, a sixth day.
Is that your own little ad in there? Validated.
No,
completely?
this is the Amplified Bible.
Oh, that's awesome. I like the Amplified.
So
That's cool. Validated completely. Awesome.
You sure?
Yeah.
That was good.
he gave it a stamp.
Very good. Okay. So, sonship versus orphan. So interesting how things change. Papa speaks about who he is making man to be in his image versus what he was making and in his likeness before he ever gives the assignment of dominion. So again, identity comes before responsibility. You can't lead well from what you do. You can only lead well from who you are. And I truly believe that with everything that is in me. I tried for many years to lead from position instead of from identity. Identity helps, it just changes everything. But it's funny, I've been looking back on all the years, and I just pulled back up a book that and it's literally 10 years ago. I was like, 10 years ago. Wow. We were in Bethel, in Redding, California, in Bethel, Chantel and I. It was January of 2016, and we were going to a Heaven in Business conference. Andy Mason, he wrote a book, Heaven or Heaven with You at Work or something like that. I have it in my truck, actually. And I remember in that book, he talks about sonship versus orphan. I remember going to John Eldridge event, warrior camp. I mean, all these things, and everything I was working on was sonship, learning to be a son instead of an orphan. And we can be believers and still be orphans. It's the craziest thing. So it was a beautiful transition to look at day 6 and say, okay, this is when we look at creation and we look, man's finally created. And then he is also, by the way, as you saw there, it says male and female, he created them and blessed them, told them to be fruitful and multiply and replenish. So it's interesting because my personal belief is that there was some children born in the garden. So, and we don't need to unpack that right now, but I do believe there was that situation. Maybe even Cain and Abel were in the garden when they were born. So, anyways, but point being is that, there is definitely legacy that got started in the garden, is what I believe. And that's an important fact because, again, of how everything then got changed and sent out of the garden. But it does have to do them with legacy and dominion and being a father and being sons and what that looks like to be orphans versus sons. And so that's what I put in here too, is some list of some things that help to identify the orphan spirit.
And it leads from fear of losing control.
Yeah. It's crazy, right? Versus security as a son. And so, and it goes into a little bit deeper. I should have brought the book in again. I'm a little off today because I got a lot in my mind. But I'll even take a screenshot of some of what Andy Mason wrote. But to finish my story, 10 years ago, we were at that conference, Heaven and Business, and it was super powerful. But that was part of even the transition for Chantel and I, is just recognizing that we're supposed to do more, not because it's the right thing, but because of who we are, because of our identity, because we are the son and daughter of Papa, of the Most High, of an amazing Father, and it's part of our inheritance. Another quick story: when I was one time, I had my wallet stolen, and I needed cash, money. I'm like, how do I get gas? How do I get food? All my cards and everything were in it. I'm like, I go to the bank. I'm like, I know you. You know me. Like, I've been in this bank several times. And they're like, yes, Mr. Campos, you're right. But it's the law. We cannot give you any money without proper identification or some kind of debit card with a PIN to prove who you are. And I'm like, this is crazy. Like, how does someone do this? And it was a really interesting moment. And I sat in my car and I started thinking about that. And I literally started sobbing because I was like, that's the Father, even. In that moment, he spoke to me. He says, I cannot release my abundance to you and my inheritance, your inheritance, until your identity matches it properly. You have not been given authority, abundance, because you're not ready for it, Carlos. And that wasn't a shameful thing. It was just like an epiphany, a revelation of that's why I'm not where I want to be, because my identity doesn't match that. Does that make sense? So it's almost like that. The law of the land is they can't give you your money that's yours, your inheritance, your cash, that's yours without proper identity. And I was like, Father, that's the same thing. Your hands are bound by that as well. You want to give to us so much. And as a father, too, we're in this moment of recruiting our son to come work for us. He's been managing a Harbor Freight for a while. And we're like, hey, you're ready to come over now? And he's like, well, what do you got to offer? And we start offering, and, we're going to have benefits and all this stuff, and what I want to do with the company, and where I want to take it and pay him 6 figures and all this. And he's like, well, okay. And then I realized too, I'm like,
You guys hiring still?
we are. I'm serious. We definitely are. We're recruiting, not just hiring. Interviewing, recruiting. Yeah. I'm serious. We're going to do it. We're going to have benefits, everything. Because we have a mission and vision and track how that would happen. Because we're already paying some of our guys half that already. So, but the point being is that I realized, so if I just hand it over to him, that's not wisdom. I want to. And the old me just wants to do that. Here you go, son. I love you. Take it. Because you're my son. You're going to do well, right? But the reality is, it's just like that thing about the bank. Until his identity matches, until he's worked, and it sounds harsh, but essentially until he's earned it, but he doesn't have to earn it because he's my son. It's his inheritance, but his identity must match the ability to lead the community that we're creating in the company. Lead the company, lead the community. So his identity is going to have to raise up as well. And so if he's willing to learn and be teachable and coachable and gain understanding, wisdom because of our experience, great. Then he will rise up and be the next owner of our company and the beneficiary of it. And he told me he'd love to just flip it. I'm like, good, let's do it together. That's fine. Let's develop it for 5 years and then let's sell it for, multiple 7 figures. So again, just some thoughts because of like what I deal with identity for myself, and then recognizing, okay, what am I passing on to my legacy? I don't want to create entitlement. That's the reality. And neither does the Father in heaven. Think about that. If he just dumped, I'll just give you $10 million. He has all the riches. He's going to write us a check. Some of those ministries out there that preach that, I don't believe in that at all. Hard work, dedication, commitment. I was watching the Jesus series. What's that called?
Chosen.
Chosen. And one of my favorite scenes, and I think I shared this before, when Jesus came back from healing and ministering all day, and the disciples were arguing, he just went and plopped himself in his tent and was super exhausted, and like, I'm going to bed. And they are asking him questions as he's walking in. He's like, looking at him like, you know what I've been doing all day? I'm exhausted, man. But he was willing to do the work. That's what I'm saying. They said that you can't even put the miracles and the healings that he did in all the books, couldn't contain all that he did. Well, then he must have been freaking working his butt off, because he wasn't in ministry that long. So how many thousands of people he touched and lives that he ministered to and loved on and blessed during his time. So he worked hard. This is the bottom line. And so again, all the successful people that I see, and that's the thing, 6 figures, 100% guaranteed. But you're going to bring in 500,000 for the company. So if you can do that all day long, they'll give you 20%. So you know what I mean? Like, but it takes hard work to get there. There's no doubt, but it's possible. I've done it, and we've got technicians on the way to do it.
But
So
in the end, that analogy, as all do, kind of falls apart a little bit, just because that's a conditional position. If you know, and a conditional amount of responsibility. But I do agree with you 100% on how we lead, where we are. You know, when we're ready is how God chooses to bless us, to give us this responsibility. But we could go through our whole lives and never come to full sanctification, spiritual maturity that God had planned for us. But we still receive the full inheritance of salvation and everything like that.
salvation, yes, I agree 100%.
Yeah.
But authority, I think, is different, because I see authority in the word when it talks about dominion, right? Especially right here, he gives us dominion over the earth. However, and let's go back to the temptation. What does Satan tempt Jesus with? I would give you all this. And Jesus is like, no, I'm going to earn it in a sense by going on the cross. So there is a level of it. And again, I think it has to do with dominion. We can choose to not have dominion. We can choose to not learn and gain the wisdom. And again, reigning and ruling with him, there's some that will and some that won't. So I don't know. There's a lot. We go deep into theology here. It could go off a rabbit trail, but the reality is that there's got to be something that we have to do. We know that faith without works is dead. So what does that works do? Crowns in heaven? Oh, I remember that teaching. I was like, ugh. Not for me. I don't care how many jewels I have in my crown. That doesn't attract to me. That goes back to temporal things. If I think about it, like for me, it's like, yeah, I do want to reign and rule with him. And yes, I do want to love and bless others, and have dominion is to take care of others. That when you study that in Genesis, that's really what it means. When back in the day when the king had dominion over the land and everyone was flourishing, even the slaves were blessed. The slaves were treated like royalty. It's unfortunate that it's all been shifted and slavery became a negative thing. It used to be such a blessing in the word, right? You know, when you had that thing in your ear, you're like, yes, he's so good to me. He's the best. And it all gets twisted. It always does, right?
Yeah, I think
Into a
that's
negative
the
thing.
point that, like, it's as we said, like dominion is trust, it's kindness, it's
Yeah.
making sure everything's taken care of. which
That's right.
The orphan spirit is like dominion means I'm in charge.
That's
Whoa.
yeah.
You know. And if I don't,
I get to make the decision.
Very tightly.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So losing control, going back to orphan spirit, lead from security as a son. And then down the list, right? Dominion is ownership and pressure versus stewardship and peace. Getting to love and honor others and make sure they're well blessed. Performs to prove worth, leads from identity already given. Family feels controlled, family feels trusted and released. And even a part of our stuff that we do on a regular basis is I will meet with my wife and my kids. I challenge you men to do this. If you have kids and a wife, ask them, what can I do to improve? Why don't we ask them? Why don't we ask that question?
I'll have
Seriously.
And sometimes in a very, that is.
But hey, I'll challenge you. Why do they have to tell you? Because you're not asking. Right. I'm just saying, if you're asking, then maybe she would tell. If it was a consistency of asking. And then the other thing is, how can I serve you better? which is like, what? Serve your kids? Yeah, why not? Get them thinking about that. And then the third question, these are 3 power questions for family. Am I a safe place? That's the hardest one for me. That's why I save it for last. They're a really hard one because I've had them say no.
Yeah.
And then what do you do with that? Do you get angry? What do you mean? What?
I am safe.
I am very safe. I protect you. But that's my lack of confidence. That's my orphan. The orphan coming out.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel confident in that area. But
everything, I think for women especially, is connected to that sense of like, I'm safe.
100%.
Security. I can trust you.
That's right.
I mean, intimacy, physical, emotional, whatever,
But the lead on question when they say no was, okay,
stuff.
what can I do
Figure it out
to make you feel safe? And usually what it comes down to is, well, when I share things with you, it would be great if you just validated me instead of, which men don't know how to validate. Let's just be real. We don't. We can learn, but it's not inherited. We've talked a little bit about that. I talk about it a lot on my YouTube videos. So I don't know how much I've talked about it here, but it is a skill. It's a skill of acknowledging their emotions. And it's fascinating to watch women talk. They're freaking awesome at validating. You can go back and forth and just watch 2 women talk and there's validate.
Mm-hmm.
And they feel so much better. And you're like, you didn't solve any freaking problems. Why do you feel better? You have no solutions. And they're like, oh, I feel so good. I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay.
So they give you a solution. No, but it's still good to talk to her about it.
That's right. She just, she truly she just gets it.
Gets me.
She gets me.
Being well-eyed, there's you go.
Right. But again, as men, what if we asked our wives, could you teach me how to validate? I've done that. That's how I learned. That's how I learned best. My wife will literally tell me, okay, in this situation, you should have said this, this. That's validation. I'm like, oh, okay. Because I trick my brain because men want to think in solutions, right? We want to create a solution. So I'm like, will you teach me? And then she has literally taught me phrases and things. And I'm like, oh. And then I just use it right then. I was like, can I have a do-over then? Can I try again? Because, yeah, I really sucked at that in that moment. I tried to fix it. I didn't validate. She's like, you're not hearing me. That's the key phrase. When I hear that, I'm like, okay, so I didn't validate you right now. So can you teach me? And she's like, yeah, say this is this. And I'm like, okay, can I try it again? She's like, yeah. And I do it. I say what she just said. And she's like, yeah, that's better. And I'm like, oh, thank you. I can do that. I can understand why you feel that way. That's like the most famous one. I can understand why you feel that way. But my biggest challenge was I thought if I say that I'm actually endorsing that feeling of negativity or that endorsing that feeling of this has been a sucky day and this went wrong. Yeah, I'm agreeing with you, but you're not. You're allowing them to release it so that they won't hold on to it and stay focused on it and snowball and keep being negative and toxic and things, right? We all need a release.
Yeah, it's like,
yeah.
It's like it's like I hear you. I know what you're saying, but like resolution doesn't necessarily always feel good. Resolution just means that like we understand each other.
Yeah.
It's great if you can feel good and be like, oh, feel closer now. We can make up love and all that stuff, but sometimes it's still like, that sucked. I think I'm gonna go for an hour drive and just like go that way.
Right.
But I've been hurt. She's been hurt.
Yeah. And sometimes that's all it really requires is the release because they know the answer. I think that's the biggest thing. They know the answer, but they want to be heard. They want to know that they're not crazy. And I have felt that way. Like I'm going through something and I'm like, I just want to share it with someone. I remember you and I had lunch one time and I was just like, bleh. I was like, I'm just going through all this. I need to tell you something. And he was like, so good. He is definitely, as a pastor, I think they have a great gift of validation. And so it's a blessing. And I was like, I feel better. I'm like, yeah.
And speaking of cycles too, I feel like conversations, particularly arguments with our wives and those are close to us, it's a cycle. So
it is.
Even though you may not feel like you had a nice boat ride on that one, it's like I feel like we made progress in how we communicate that next time it comes around.
That's right.
We're gonna be a step up.
That's right. So good. So true. So again, going back to the sonship, legacy built on love and order. Trusted. Family feels trusted and released. The orphan spirit is not who you are. It's the pattern that forms when a man has not yet settled into the truth of who Papa says he is. That's why Triggers Triumph exists. If you guys haven't figured it out yet, I always come back to our 3 core activities because they work. The story you're telling yourself is the orphan story a lot of times. And the more you tell the sonship story or the hero story, the victorious story instead of the victim story, the better you will become. It's just a reality. To recognize the trigger is to be an orphan. That's to say, oh, that's my orphan spirit. I'm triggered right now. I don't feel confident in this world, so I'm going to argue. I'm going to fight my wife. I'm going to fight this person in front of me. I'm going to argue with them because I've got to prove that I really am. Well, that's the orphan spirit, right? That's a good indicator. But it's real. We're all going to deal with it. We all have different levels and different areas of orphan spirit. And so when that trigger happens, what do we do with it? That's, again, why the Triggers to Triumph process came about. And it's a simple way of just recognizing, okay, there's some hurt here. There's some unforgiveness that I need to flip it into forgiveness and get into a different mindset and a different thought process behind this. Become victorious in a son. What does a son look like in this moment? Sonship. The truth. Return back to the truth, how the Father sees us. So identity reminder, I lead because I am a son, not because I am afraid. My dominion is not control. It's Papa's trust placed in my hands. I made it in his image. I carry his nature. I build his legacy. I think that's the most beautiful thing as believers that we can say.
Everybody, right? The thing is, it's not me. It's like they're like some of these are a yes for the some of these, yeah.
Oh, for sure. I still say yes to some of these.
That's
I think it's layers. There's no doubt. It's layers. It's seasons. It's awareness. Really, this is to help bring awareness. Because if we just want to put it under the rug, then what? But when you face them, when you take ownership of them and responsibility for them, that's when things will really, really change for you. What would it look like this week to lead your family from security instead of from the cycles or the patterns? What would you change?
stop working it for. Seriously, just set it down. You know. Yeah, I've talked to them something about it. It's like I mean, yesterday was the first time I've done that like weeks. And I was outside at 4:30 and I'm like planting stuff. And I'm like, and the kids came out and playing. And I was like,
That's awesome.
this is good.
Yeah.
As opposed to when my wife works, usually the kids are on their tablets just downstairs from like 3:30 to 6 o'clock. It's like, I'm working.
Mhm.
It's just like,
Yeah, for sure.
and I go into the rest of the night feeling like I failed.
Sure.
Because there's still work to do. Because obviously, still work to do.
Oh, yeah.
And now the
Oh,
kids
yeah.
are like, Dad, no. We tried to come talk to you earlier, dude. It's like, so to create time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Safety.
Ask the question again.
Well, what would it look like to lead from a place of sonship, security in the Father, security in Papa, versus fear or versus authority of I'm the boss or I'm the father in this situation, or the pattern or cycles that we normally fall into? How can we disrupt those in a sonship way versus?
No, I mean, I like definitely the control. I my natural tendency is just to try to maintain control over everything. I want everything tied up in a neat little bow.
Except emails,
Do it.
except text messages.
Well, that's like,
Should be serious over here. Come on.
I have control over my own life. This does not have control over me to where I need to, I do that.
Touche.
But yeah, just,
It's a pot called Get Black, by the way.
I have 0 unread text. Actually, I have 2. One from your last night.
Let's all send him a text today.
um, yeah, just like, I mean, I shared this example, last week, but like, just, what, from the smallest of things, like, hey, why did we spend money on that? Like what, that was unnecessary, like that, for, that subtly communicates that like, my wife does not have an equal,
Yeah.
because I can go and spend,
I would like to settle it off. Like from her perspective, it's not subtle. It's very like uncontrollable.
well, yeah,
Trust factor to trust too.
yeah,
Right?
that's the like natural flesh.
Yeah, for sure.
the-
Well, I'm trying to improve things. I'm trying
Yeah,
to
like
create a budget. I'm trying to make things
Yeah.
better.
I
We
would,
can justify it.
exactly, like I'm trying to, we're trying to save for a down payment. We're trying to do like we have so I just want to like, I want to know, the intention is more of like, I just want to know, did we is this justified? Like, I don't
Right.
really care. It's not about the money being spent. Is it a justifiable expense, sort of thing. And like, but I'll be very quick to justify something without asking her, versus like, just, yeah, I think there's a deep, yeah, that's just one example, but
Yeah.
that definitely, that's.
It's all plain in your head, like this is what I'm gonna do. I do that.
Oh, yeah, it's just a sense of control. Like I wanna feel like I'm in control of everything. And I don't need to be.
I think we often make it about the grand moments, right? And really, it's the little things.
Oh, it is.
It's the little things
Yeah.
that they turned into that turned into a big thing over time. Turned into the big blow ups or arguments. And good too, by the way. It's good stuff too. Like the little things we do well then turn into amazing miracles and blessings over time.
Oh, yeah.
That's why we talked about yesterday, to that 2 weeks. Rick Hammond driving a car doing something and rock off truck at the windshield, cracked it. And we checked on it, called the insurance company, and they said it was safe street. And they want $400 to replace the windshield. It was under our overhead deductible.
Mhm.
So Angie had this guy, she had it hers. So we called him. He's a Vietnamese, lives there, and been 30 years. He came out and put a hood and windshield of the car, so Fiesta for $300. So
Yeah.
that just ends up. I said, yeah, we need it fixed, and we got to get it fixed, and that's going to get worse.
Right.
Mm.
Little things. What identity will you be passing on to your children? Because they do what we do, not what we say, unfortunately. And we try to tell them something, and then we're like, and it's the little things we do. So I think that's even where we can look at the patterns and cycles. What can we do differently? What would a son do versus an orphan? How would an orphan respond? Someone that's trying to prove they're a good dad or a good husband.
Yeah. I was this conference I was at last week. They one of the guys that was speaking at it, it's on discipleship, and he walked through he's like, imagine what it felt like to be discipled by Jesus. And so he kind of walked through Jesus choosing you, and then you walking with him, you're eating meals with him, he's doing miracles in front of you, he's washing feet, he's doing all this stuff. And he said, so he goes through this whole line of all the stuff that Jesus did with his disciples, and then just goes, now, how does it feel to be discipled by you? And I was like,
Yeah.
does it feel the same way as it felt probably for the disciples? And so when you ask that question, that's the first thing that popped in my head, like with your kids, like as Jesus led his spiritual children,
Sure.
like how do my kids feel the same way,
Yeah.
as
Oh,
the
yeah.
disciples.
Even last night, we watched you mentioned The Chosen, we watched the season 1, episode 3 of The Chosen, which is the episode where he, the little kids, the whole episode, he's like hanging out with that group of kids. And that, I mean, of course, that's just a dramatization,
Sure.
but just that, it just got me thinking about like, I do not think of hanging out with kids like that the way that Jesus does. Like I would have gotten so frustrated and annoyed with them trying to help me work and trying to do all these things, you know. And he's just patient,
Yes.
questions, loving them. Yeah, it's like I do not do that.
Using the annoyances to do something that he could not have done without them. Yeah, and honestly, I always go back to the idea that obviously Christ had dominion, but just that when we start talking about these things like living from sonship and legacy, and none of us right now are starting a new business per se, but like it can become very performative. And I think you have to constantly come back and check. I mean, like, where's my motivation? Where am I coming from? Because our culture, especially for men, is like ambition, 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 ambition. It's I think our culture thinks of if you were to think of a dominion based on stewardship and peace, that would almost look like a weak man. Someone who doesn't rule, and you're not working hard enough if you're not coming home exhausted every day and getting a raise and doing all that kind of stuff.
Well, and it's devil's advocate, like it's a both and because I think just as many men that are like, that have that, or if not more, that have that ambitious mindset,
Mhm.
have no ambition.
Sure.
And I think that, and that sort of conversation could potentially become
For sure.
an excuse
Yeah.
for them to continue to not have
For sure.
ambition. So it's yeah, I think, and it's
Yeah.
probably pretty close to a 50-50 split, if not leaning one way or the other.
I definitely feel like there's a pendulum, and like I think like my parents' generation, like it was very much this, you work hard, you strive, like pay the bills, like you do, like that's what it means to be a good dad. It's
Sure.
you took care of all the bills and you
Yeah.
provided kind of thing. And then I feel like the pendulum swing on the other side where it was more like it's all about your presence and it's all about what. And I'm not disagreeing. I mean, like it is that, but like
Yeah.
there is an ambition that, I mean, like you talked about, like we're
Mhm.
called to have dominion, we're called to
Yeah.
have authority, we're called to grow and to plant and to tend to and all that stuff too. And so it's not just
Yeah,
sit back. And I feel like from a young, and I feel old even saying this, okay, but like I feel like younger generations, I mean, like there's a lot of like, I mean, you see a lot of, I mean, there's like obviously exceptions to this, but like kids that are graduating high school and even college, and there's not a whole lot of direction
Yep.
for them. And I'm not putting all the blame on them. I think that's maybe older generations have maybe, facilitated that in their lives.
Creative.
But yeah. And so like it's very different. I mean, you don't see the drive to get married. You don't see the drive to, just do a whole lot. I mean, there's obviously other people, but that are
but that's a big part. Like for me, I see it almost every day, like just in the churches I work with, like there's a like, and it's happening in the churches if they are Christians, it's happening in the churches that they go to, like the churches themselves don't have ambition. I mean, there are like, like the staggering numbers of dying and declining churches, just, crazy.
Sure.
They have no like, and so like the people that should be like, if there was, not to put too much pressure on the church, but like, they're just going, attending, consuming, and coming home. Some of that is due to like
lack of ambition or lack of ownership, I think.
yeah, for sure. There's always the lack of personal ownership, but then also like, there is, I think, a responsibility on the part of people who claim to be leaders in someone's life, or a pastor and someone, or a shepherd of a flock, to like call people to more.
Yeah.
And that doesn't really
Well,
A
and
lot of places where that doesn't happen.
I just wanted to sort of piggyback off like our parents' generation. Like my father-in-law had a really bad fall over the summer, like really bad fall, like blood everywhere on the wall and everything. And we're about to lose my wife's grandma, like it's any day now. And I've had a couple conversations with him on the phone, fishing over the last 2, 3 months, and he keeps saying like, "I know I haven't done well. I know I haven't
Yeah.
been at the games. I know I haven't been. I've wanted to be there." And he's doing it with both his daughters too. But he keeps saying every time, "I want y'all to know that you're going to be well taken care of."
Mhm.
And it's like,
Yep.
that's great.
And that excuses every,
That's
yeah.
great. But we'd really love you to just come eat lunch with us, man. You know? Like,
Yep.
you know,
time.
it- yeah.
Quality
it-
time.
It just breaks my wife's heart. She's like, "Yeah, somebody doesn't, you know, like,
We wanted you.
yeah, you know."
Yeah.
And I'm sure the guilt and all that keeps
Sure.
And it's just sad.
He had a purpose behind it.
Yeah.
He had a purpose behind it.
Yeah.
And in his heart, that's how he was loving. And you're right. That's a generational thing. It is. And I do believe that God wants us to balance it. That's where I think balance comes in the sense of knowing it's not one or the other, it's and.
Yeah.
And how important and is in this situation. And that's again why the 3 pillars we have created matter. Like I lead the triggers of triumph as I recognize when orphan fear rises up and I choose the truth of sonship instead. MVP, mission, vision, peculiar. Well, it's because I lead and it's constantly refining. I lead from who Papa says I am, not from what I'm afraid to lose. And then the Epic 30 is a daily rhythm. I build daily habits that reflect a son who stewards well, not a man who strives. So again, it's what habits can I create? What does it look like to be that man? So yeah, just some thoughts there. And I know we're out of time, but the rhythm matters. The daily rhythm matters. We got to make sonship a lifestyle. That's the reality.
Think
And so,
how different that would be if my father-in-law had asked it. What could I do, Jennifer,
yeah,
10 years ago, 20 years ago?
that's right.
Two
Agreed.
years, how different that is.
Agreed.
Yeah.
100%. And that goes back to like
Yeah.
my identity. My identity doesn't allow me to say that because I'm doing the right thing, right? I don't need anybody to tell me what to do.
Well, I think
Yeah.
the identity, yeah, I mean, it's that security piece of we know, like I think deep down we know that there is deep flaws and issues in our, being a husband or being a
Sure.
parent or whatever. And like the worst thing in the world is for somebody to say, "Yes, let me tell you, just so you know, you probably thought this was your weakness, but let me tell you that this is indeed your weakness." And like nobody wants that because we want to feel like we're doing something
That's right.
that's of value and good. And that's where the identity piece comes in. Like if you're secure in who you are, then it doesn't really, you can take that criticism and
Yeah, your hands gotta be.
Yep.
all right.
Yep,
I
we're a
know
little
you have
behind
to do,
here.
So
All right.
I gotta get down going for 8:30 to put on.
Yeah, buddy.
okay, yeah, you gotta hurry, man.
Thanks for coming, bro. All right. Let's pray. Guys, who wants to pray? I know we need to get going.
I will.
Thanks.
Holy Trinity, Father God, thank you for this time that we have and just
Yes.
the ideas presented here from a different place, that we may be first and foremost secure in you,
Yes.
and from that stems everything else. God, I ask that through your Holy Spirit, you continue to challenge me and the guys here on some of these things that maybe kind of made our stomach churn there, whether it be a fear of a question to ask or a doubt that we don't want to bring into the light or shame or guilt. Those things are not for me, Lord. And I just pray that you bring that
Yes.
to us.
Yes.
And then the idea of the orphanage is it says, "I'm here, Dad, look, see, I can do this," and we're right there, God. I thank you for that, for just that identity. Let it move from our head to our heart, and bless us as we go through this day, watch over our families, and we ask all these things in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ.
Amen. Yeah, that video inheritance. Now you can see hopefully how that ties in.